So, have you ever had this happen? Okay, got my composition. All right, got the aperture set, shutter speed set, ISO set, everything's just right, perfect exposure. Let's take the photo. But what happened? Uh-oh, look, it's all dark. What went wrong? Wonder what happened. So we're going to talk about fixing this problem right here. What's the level of brightness you should set on your screen? This photo, everything was perfect. Everything was just right. But I couldn't see it on the screen. The screen is too dark. So let me show you guys how to set your screen so that you don't have this problem. So that when you take a photo, your screen will show you exactly what you saw out there. Okay, you guys, we'll be back shortly. So we're back inside now, and we have our camera set up here so I can show you guys how to fix this problem with the dark screen. Now, I'm going to go in here to the menu first, and I'm going to change the brightness. We're going to go down to -5, just so you guys can see. Now, you see how much darker the monitor is now? Right, so let's get back over to our photo. Okay, now according to our meter, we are at 0. And right here, you want to make sure that you are on 0. This setup that I have here with this lighting, our bear has a little bit of yellow on him because of the lighting here, and I set that up intentionally so you guys could see this. Now, let's get to it. So we are at 1/20th of a second, f7.1, and ISO 200. Now I'm set at 7.1 for the reason that this lens has this sweet spot at 7.1. The sweet spot of a lens, we'll talk about that in another video. But for the purposes of what we're doing here today, okay, let's go into this now step by step. So number one, the first thing, set everything to where you are set on 0 on your meter here. Okay, check your exposure and take a shot. All right, now as you can see, we are dark, really dark, and we're actually underexposed according to our histogram here. Oh, so how do we fix that? Well, the first thing is, no matter what this screen is telling you, you want to get your histogram as close as you can to what would be considered a proper exposure. There we come in with a gray card. We put our gray card here. Now you'll notice that there are some shadows here. We're not going to worry about those right now because this is a special situation, and I have the camera set to where it is metering on this section right here. And you want to put your gray card to where you're getting most all of your light readings. You'll notice that your gray card now is reading underexposed. So let's make some changes. Right? So we're changing our shutter speed. Now we're back to 0. And this is where you want to be. The gray card gives you 14% gray, and this is the best thing to use no matter what you're shooting, no matter what conditions you're in. Your gray card is always going to give you the best reading. However, you can make adjustments. But for a baseline to start with, always use your gray card. Okay, now we take our gray card away, and you see we're showing 2 stops overexposed in the meter. So let's take a photo and see what we have. All right, now much better over here. So let's get into the menu. We're going to change this here. Let's take our brightness up. Let's go to 0 and see how we look. All right, that looks pretty good right there. I think it's a little bit overexposed. It looks a little bit light to me on the screen here as opposed to what I'm looking at here. So let's go back into our menu. Let's drop our brightness down. We'll go to -1 and check it again. Whoops. I hit the wrong button there. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Reading -1 on our monitor. That looks pretty good. In fact, that's pretty close. I don't know if I would make any changes from that. Okay, now another thing that you can do in here, if you want to get more accurate, you can go into your white balance. Now we have it set on auto white balance. You go in here to your white balance and you go, you have presets, you have Kelvin, shade, cloudy, flash, sunlight. That's a setting I have for tungsten light, and then indoor light. Okay, so let's go to Kelvin. Now, you notice something here. When we have it on our Kelvin scale, this looks closer. The colors look much closer now to what we actually see. Using the gray card, using our gray card, we'll go back with our gray card and check it there. Okay, we're going to change it again here. Take the gray card away. See, we're almost a stop and 1/3 over. Take our shot. All right. Now you see we have a full spectrum. And that is pretty close to exactly the colors and the lighting. So there you go, guys. That's what it's all about, okay? There's just a few steps there. We'll go over these in just a few minutes again. So We'll be right back.
So now that we've shown you how to set your screen level, make sure that the image that you're looking at when you take an exposure is the same as the screen, because you want the screen to have the same values as you have in the image that you're looking at. Okay, so that's up to you. Your camera, you have to look at your camera, and you have to take the time to do this. And it will really, really help you a lot. It's something that I hear very few people talking about, but um, this kind of goes back to an old thing with film, and that was called the exposure index. And that's a whole other thing we'll go into another video. But it's one of those things that you really need to pay attention to, because sometimes, you know, you're out there and you may punch a button accidentally, or uh, hit a knob accidentally. You know, these things happen. And check your screen. Set it up so that you are looking at the same image on that screen as what you see in the viewfinder. Make sure that that image is the same as what you see. Okay, so I talked about your gray card. You can pick these up anywhere. Gray cards come in different sizes. On the back, they have a zone system. There's some calculations and things that you can use to help you. But these are extremely, extremely helpful, because that meter in your camera doesn't always show the exact reading, especially if you're shooting snow or real bright days, or like we were shooting our little bear, and we were metering on the bear, and the light reflects back, and so it changed the reading that we were getting in the camera. Therefore, we used the gray card to get a proper reading. Now, another thing that you can do, when I was talking about setting your white balance, is you can get one of these. You can download these on the internet, and this is a Kelvin scale. And as you can see, it goes from uh, darkest light to brightest light, and these are free. I would encourage everyone to go online and read about this, because this is one of the things that will really help you with your color balance. I know a lot of beginners, this is very scary for them. Uh, when I was in film school, uh, this was something that it really took a long time for several of us to grasp, because the light, well, light is light, isn't it? Well, yes, it is. But there are many, many different aspects to light. I'm going to do a different video about that and talk about those things that we use in photography, and artists need to know this. Artists can tell you about light, but a lot of them don't understand this Kelvin scale. Uh, this has a major effect on what you see in your camera when you take that exposure. What does that exposure look like? Okay, what's the color balance? And this is something that you need to know. And you really need to get into this and look at this stuff. Now, like a lot of beginners, you can just set your white balance on auto and, you know, learn composition and those things. But you really need to set your camera up so that You've got what you want to see. Make sure that your camera is set so that you can see exactly the same thing when you take that exposure as what you're looking at, whatever your subject is. And it doesn't matter if it's a landscape or a still life, anything, anything. You always want to get the best color balance and the best lighting. You always have different lighting conditions, and you'll need to go in and make changes. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for everybody. You guys have a great day. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again. Um, Questions? Anything else you want to know? Uh, you know what to do. Okay, so you guys, you have a great day. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. Bye.